Hello, everyone. Today is September 5th, 2024. This is the Kubernetes storage SIG meeting. So today we're going to go over our 1.32 planning spreadsheet. Now the release schedule is published. So the next coming deadline is production readiness freeze. That's October 3rd. And then October 10th is enhancement freeze. So let's go to our planning spreadsheet. So the first item is recovering from resize failure, move to beta.
Yeah, so I'm planning to move to beta. I will have to obviously do the PRR review, and I have Intuit tests and everything in app, but it's already used by a bunch of drivers. So I think it meets the criteria of moving to beta. And yeah, so are you sharing anything, by the way, Xing? Like I can't see
Oh,
your
you
screen.
cannot see?
I
Or
can
it's just
see.
me. Okay, maybe just me. I will just wait and
Oh.
join again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, right. So I will mark this one as started. All right, so we are talking beta number 2. And okay, next one is voting group snapshot. Yeah, this one we are also planning to move to beta. So we have E2E test that's still in review. Unit tests are already merged. So I will update the cap. We do have a work in progress one. We also have a PR out for moving the API to GV1 beta one. And then there are some bugs that we are trying to fix. So I think we also need to decide whether we need to move the CSI spec side change to GA or not, because right now that's alpha. So I think that start next week we have a CSI community sync, right? So we can discuss about this one.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. And Michelle, once I have the cap updated, I'll ping you for review, because we also need to do API review, right? So this is moving to beta. We need to review that code as well.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. Next item is CSI volume health. So we are discussing whether we should move that to beta or not. So we do have E2 test that is merged. And I think Haman, we need to talk about this, right? So there was some discussion going on the Slack on there are a few drivers have or are planning to implement this one in their driver. So
Yeah.
Xing.
So they are currently using it to basically indicate which PVC is unhealthy. And but and users need to scale down the resource to recover from it, but none of that is like, at least the driver is they're planning to alert the user and request user to scale down the resource to recover from it. That's the recovery step they're planning. But the problem with existing behavior is obviously it's because it is reported via metrics, and those metrics are reported via collector interface. They will disappear once the pods are no longer running on the node.
Right.
So um, so that's a concern, and I think it it may be worth having a discussion about if you want to add a PVC or PV health status or something to PV object. Though, yeah.
Quick question around this. So we've seen some interest around volume health monitoring in general, but it doesn't seem like there is a clear consensus in terms of exactly what would be useful. So Hemant, when you say that the PVC health indicator would be helpful, is that something that would be part of the volume health monitoring feature itself, or would that be something separate from what is being considered?
So it depends if like if PVC or PV health has to be reported in the PVC or PV, then it has to be, we can consider it as a separate cap. This one, if you want to move it to, or if it depends, actually, we need to have a separate meeting. If this is useful as it is via just as a metric, then that's probably fine to move this to beta and GA. But if it is not useful as a metric, then we'll have to propose that, okay, this feature will stay in alpha until we do the API changes which reports volumes health status.
Right, right. Yeah, I think we are kind of in the same boat. Like we had at one point thought about implementing volume health monitoring based on what is available, like what the KEP says today. And then we kind of paused on it because we weren't sure exactly how customers would use it and what would be helpful, because the most important use case that we see is customers are interested in taking some kind of automated actions whenever they get confirmation that a volume is unhealthy. But just a regular Boolean notification is typically hard because there may be transient things going on that might impact the volume's health, but which doesn't necessarily mean the volume is actually unhealthy. So we kind of paused on that because we were not sure whether it made sense to implement something along those lines. So my gut feeling is that, uh, I haven't seen anybody come to us and say that they really want this in the form that it is right now. So might be okay to keep it in alpha for now, but maybe you have a different perspective on this. So
Yeah, so it sounds like we should have a meeting just to talk about this and see how to move forward. Should we move this one forward, or should we make some changes to it before we move it to the next level?
yeah, I think a meeting will be helpful.
Okay.
It would clarify a few things, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to moving it to beta. It's just a question of whatever format we propose or whatever changes we propose, they should make sense and they should address genuine customer use cases. That's all. So
yeah, makes sense. Okay, I will schedule a meeting to discuss this. Thank you. So next one is change block tracking. So this is still ongoing. Development is ongoing for the repo. Actually, I have an action item to look at a PR that add a job. So yeah. So the next one is enable privileged containers for Windows to replace CSI proxy for Windows. Do we have any update for this? To 1.32. So is this
I don't think I've heard anything new. Last thing that I remember was that we were trying to see if there was one particular driver which might benefit from using it, and Mauricio was going to follow up with the Azure folks. I think that happened, but we never really got a clear answer. So I don't really know where things stand with this at this point. So I can check and see if there's. I mean, from our perspective, we did the work. I think it makes sense to move this to beta unless there is any concern. But I think it's just a question of getting consensus more than anything else. So.
okay? Thank you. We will check this again in next meeting.
Yeah.
Next one is secure Linux relabeling using amount options.
So this is very likely to stay in alpha because we found a use case that could break valid applications. And until now, we expected everything that could break was sort of invalid or very unlikely corner case. And we expected we can graduate it to beta without any opt-in or opt-out. But now we need to reconsider. I will update the cap and I will need a way how to opt in or opt out, either in pod spec or somewhere else. So I'm going to update the cap, propose some ideas, and this will need to stay in alpha.
Okay. Thank you.
By the way, is there anybody on this call who runs clusters with SE Linux enabled? Because right now I am from Red Hat. We run OpenShift with SE Linux, obviously, and I'm looking for some other users to validate our ideas. I guess not. Okay.
Okay, thank you. And okay, next one is the volume attributes class. So
I think we will probably stay in beta on this one. Sunny or Michelle can probably talk more because it sounds like we still need to add the quota support. But I mean, we are just promoting it to beta in 131, so I think it makes sense for it to continue to stay in beta, but I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Also, I think it'll give some time for more drivers to start implementing and testing this.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Next one is storage capacity scoring. So this one, there is a cap. I think we are just waiting for PRR review. So I'll mark this one as started. Next one is volume expansion for stateful set. So this is a project we co-own with SIG apps. Is there any update?
Yeah, we have updated the cap based on the discussions with the SIG apps. Yeah, I'll wait and still wait for review. Yeah.
So are we targeting alpha, right?
Yeah.
Okay, So I'll say started. Okay, thank you for that update. Next one is a non-graceful no shutdown test. I think this one, unfortunately, still there's no update. So it's next one is auto delete PVCs with stateful set. So it says move to GA. So is Matt here? Michelle, do you know if we are planning to move to GA in 1.32? That's still the
Yeah,
plan.
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I remember hearing as well, that there was no reason not to move to GA in 132. So, and
Okay.
Matt was aligned with that. So,
All right, thank you. Next one is add an option to disable 6-minute force detach timer. So change to 41.02. Is Ben here today? Not sure what's the status.
I think Ben was driving this and he found someone from his team to work on it. So I think he's planning to move it forward.
Okay.
What is the use case for this, by the way? Now, I mean, like now that we have non-graceful shutdown implemented.
I think for specific drivers, it still causes issues when there's a force detach, and disabling this would avoid that.
Can they
Yeah,
not?
I'm not sure if we want to change the default. Because we have the option now, right? Because I think this only affects a handful of drivers and not all drivers.
Oh, so
yeah. And the other thing is that Eddie has a change request upstream that will basically implement the suggestion that Mauricio had at one point to kind of make this problem go away in the upstream code itself. So I think once that happens, I have a feeling that we may not even need this, but I'm not sure.
I think this is that issue is maybe a little different. I think that one's dealing with preemptible nodes, I think. Is that right? The one that Eddie is working on?
It could be. I know
Yeah,
that.
I think that's a different problem
Okay,
than what this is trying to solve.
got it.
Can you link that what Eddie is working on somewhere?
Yeah.
Chat.
Basically, during graceful node shutdown, the current logic is not waiting for volumes to unmount before basically deleting the node. And so there's a change now to make kubelet aware of volume teardown.
Yeah, I remember I reviewed it actually. So it was waiting on node approval.
Yeah,
That's right.
but I think that's
That's
a
right.
different issue than this thing that we're discussing here.
Got
Right.
it.
But
Yeah,
We
this
can
could.
follow up with Ben. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that if this is an issue, can the users not just taint the node? That will solve this problem. But I'm just curious.
I think I think the problem is it's going to happen automatically if a user does not do anything. This is going to automatically force detach, which cause some corruption, right? I think that's the reason there is a plan to want to change the default, not to do that.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
Maybe that makes sense. Okay,
this,
cool.
yeah, I think that also caused some problem for us as well, just automatically touch.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, so I don't, so the plan, okay, so we change the default them, but basically there is still a way for user to change it back, I guess. That's the plan, I guess, right? There's now we have a
Yeah, I think the problem though is that like it's been this behavior since the beginning.
Yeah.
And changing the default now might catch a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah, that's also true. Right. But I mean,
Sorry, I want to make sure that this configuration is on Kubernetes controller manager.
right.
Yes.
Is this called disable false detach on timeout?
Yes.
I see it already has a configuration.
Yes. There's
So-
already a flag for it. It sounds like this item here is about changing it to be default on.
Okay, gotcha.
So it sounds like we need to discuss more about this one, whether we want to change default or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is cozy over move to V1 Alpha 2. So this is still work in progress. I talked to Blaine and Matthews. So they're saying they may not be able to actually finish this in 1.32, but basically they will be working on, continuing to work on this one. It's a lot of work, merging the repos and making other changes. So next one is CSS sidecars all in one. Are there any progress?
Yeah, we discussed the future management of the all-in-one project tonight, and I get some updates from Connor and Marcio, and I will update the documents later. And then we plan to write a cap and let community to review it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Next one is voting populator data source at matrix score testing. Michelle, remember you said someone in your team is working on this or interested in working on this in 1.32? I thought this was some time ago.
Yeah, so we're basically trying to use the volume populator feature and we're making enhancements to it. And so there's been a couple of enhancements submitted to the volume populator repo.
Oh, they have already? Oh, okay. I have
Yeah. But it's more like kind of refactoring and adding new methods and things. It's not actually changing the API. But I think from my perspective, like I want to, before we promote the API to GA, I want to make sure like we validate sort of all of the use cases and make sure there aren't any additional API changes we might want to make.
So is the plan to move this to GA in 1.32 or you're still validating?
At least I don't think we'll have time to promote it to GA in 132, but we're going to continue testing the feature.
Okay, so I'll change this.
Oh, sorry, I think it's the row above.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for that. Okay, I think this is still right. Testing. So next one, CSI migration port walks. Not sure if they're going to move this to GA yet. I pinned Luis. I'm waiting for a reply from him. So yeah, we'll change this one first. Next one, remove dynamic provision support from host path entry volume plugin. Is Clary working on this? I don't know if Clary is here today. Maybe he's not in the meeting. Yeah, he's not. Okay, so we're not sure. Check. Clary. I think this one is also pending. The CSI migration for portworx to be complete. For that plugin to be, the entry plugin to be removed, I think. So, okay, so I'll check with him. And the last one, remove Git repo entry plugin. Deprecated long time ago. This is a bug fix. Okay, Chris is working on this one. Is Chris here? Is Chris not here? Does anyone know? This is still, okay, so last time we said this is moved to 1.32. Okay, so we're not sure. We'll check with Chris. Okay, so that's everything we have here. If you have any item, any feature that you want to target 1.32, please feel free to add to this spreadsheet. And then let one of the leads know that you want to target 1.32, and we can have the labels added. Although I have not got pinned by the release team on adding the label yet, I think, but at one point, I think we need to add the labels for the features we're targeting 1.32. So, okay, then we have one item here. It's regarding this ETE test, but I think this is already merged. So I think we are all set for this one. Okay, let's see. Okay, okay, so Andrew or Raphael, you added this item here. Hello, you want to talk about this?
Oh, sorry. I just saw that it was approved and merged, so it's all good.
Oh, we're done. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
One topic I wanted to bring up was the CSI change. It looks like Jan brought a PR. Wanted to discuss that.
Oh, okay. Right. That's what last time, right? We talked about that one.
Yep.
Okay. Is it
Okay.
where's
So-
that chain?
I created a PR that regenerates the
Okay.
CSI Go.
Did you have a
messages.
link? I thought we have this last time.
Sure. So the PR is open. However, we apparently introduced breaking changes also before when I just send the link here. this is the PR I opened, and we broke the generated structures with unimplemented identity server before. And I am not fixing that, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that's the key discussion to have here is should we merge this PR and then put out another CSI version 1.10.1 and say, hey, that was a breaking change and now we're undoing it. But then that puts us in a weird position of when do we bump these protobufs? And yeah, to Jan's point, there's been other breaking changes in the generated code. The spec itself is backwards compatible, but the generated code has had breaking changes. So thoughts on that? How do we proceed?
Is there any CSI vendor who got bitten by these changes? Because we can fix the CSI sidecars, so that's manageable. I'm not sure how it looks like on the CSI driver side. If it's something complicated or it's okay.
So what's the issue here? Is it that the spec itself is compatible, but somehow the generated code is not backwards compatible?
Right.
Yes.
And is this a problem that impacts only this SIG? Are there other parts of Kubernetes which are also impacted?
It's only CSI drivers, so any CSI driver. The sidecars are going to be handled by this SIG. The concern is that CSI driver authors could be surprised when they go to update their CSI version.
I guess in terms of like impact, the on the wire bits are the same. It's just the code has API changes.
So someone from AWS actually did some testing. I forgot his name.
And they already included that unary interface. What is it called?
Yeah, so he was saying he need to make some changes in the driver, but it was okay. So
do you happen to know, Xing, which driver that was in AWS?
AWS driver. Somebody Yang, do you remember who is someone?
Was it the EFS driver or?
I think it was EBS.
EBS.
I think it was. I'm not sure. I remember. Was it Connor who mentioned they had?
I guess my question is like, is the on the wire protocol the same? Is that unchanged? And it's just like a code API structure that changed.
Yes, gRPC is the same on the wire. It's just Go code that needs some tuning.
Oh, is this the corner, right? This is the thread.
Yeah.
I think if the on the wire protocol is the same, then I'm not as concerned about like if the actual code API has to change. It does mean that like, you know, all the CSI driver authors will have to update their code when they get this new dependency.
You should bump major version.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like we are not following semantic versioning of Go libraries. We should bump major version if we introduce incompatible changes. And then it opens kind of worms like how to version Go libraries differently than the CSI spec, and don't get crazy.
I mean, like client Go has the same problem too, right?
It has version 0.
Yeah.
For this reason, for exactly this reason, they can break anything anytime. That's a good idea, actually. We could use the same model.
Does this, I thought this change just fixes the generated matcher and all the mutex issue that we were doing. Does it still Does it also fixes the unitary interface that the drivers had to implement, or
No.
it doesn't
My
fixes that
PR
second
doesn't
thing?
fix that. I could fix it. I don't know. I didn't try. Maybe I could.
So the drivers have to change anyway, actually.
I think on Kubernetes side, we didn't see any issue in the sidecars. We didn't need to change anything. I don't know how it looks like on the driver side.
Maybe they have not updated to 1.10, right?
Yeah, but it was introduced before.
Mm.
I think in 1.9.
Is it 1.9? I thought it's 1.10 has that breaking change now.
Yeah.
There were more breaking changes. There was this one that we noticed in 1.10, but there was one before with the unimplemented identity server. I think it was there
Do we know
before.
what the corner has changed in the EBS driver to work with 1.10? Because he mentioned he actually need to make some changes. That means other drivers will need to do that when they upgrade to 1.10, right?
Try to look.
Forcing us to embed the unimplemented server in our driver. Is that well, we're good if a corner can actually show exactly what he has changed in the EBS driver.
Yeah, I can check with Connor on this one. I was not aware that he had looked at it, and I can provide an update from our side whether what we think would be the right thing to do here in the next meeting. Jan, do you think you can wait until then, or I can ask him to respond on the thread as well?
Yeah, if you want to, maybe if you just update it in the thread, or so that we can see it, because I think it will be helpful, right, for other drivers.
Yes, I mean, just looking at this message, it sounds like other drivers may also need to make a change like this one. So,
right. So that's the thing. If we at least need to.
We could put in a breaking change release note retroactively if that helps. Definitely probably should do that. The question is whether we should roll this code back and do a new release of CSI. And if we're going to do that, we should probably do that sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Let me follow up with Connor, and I can provide an update on that one. So
sounds good.
Then we are rolling back like 2 releases, are we? That's what I'm concerned about, or just one?
Yeah, that's a concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, I think we should move forward. I wonder if we should just add the release node.
I think so too, but let me just circle back and we can decide after that. So I do agree that we ideally should be moving forward. So
remember, he checked, he actually downgraded to 1.9 and said it's still compiled. So okay, yeah, that's maybe we should continue to discuss here and then see if we can finalize this.
Sounds good. We could also use the CSI meeting, the next one, instead of.
Sure.
It might be sooner.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, so are there other issues that we want to discuss today? If not, that is end of the meeting for today. Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Bye.
thank you.